What's up, everybody? I am JJ De La Garza, and I'm happy to be here with you today. We are putting out some new coaching products monthly by monthly, mainly through me and Dan Zach. I hope you guys really enjoy. Many questions come to me and they ask about three betting, the sizing of three betting, so I'm going to break it down to you right here. Our presentation is called The Art of Three Betting. So, first and foremost, how to three bet. When three betting, you should know if it's for value or as a bluff. So your pocket aces hands, jacks plus, ace king, always your value. 7-5 suited, 8-6 suited, always your bluffs. Ace 5 suited, always your bluffs. So you should know your value hands, your bluff hands. When you're three betting, your range should be polarized. Exactly what I just said. You want to have your top hands and your weaker hands and play a balanced strategy. You don't want to be three betting middling hands like pocket nines when an early position opener raises, because he can four bet you off the hand and you may be up against a stronger range. Getting blown off the hand is probably the worst thing that can happen there, and you don't get to realize your pocket nines equity. You guys don't want to be the person who only three bets value hands, where players can play exploitive versus you and make big folds. You got to give some action to get some action in no limit. If someone is just three betting value hands, I can be quick, aware of it in game, and I will not give them action. If I see them three bet one or two hands in 2 hours, I know they're very skewed towards value, and I definitely will not give them action. And I've seen action players even make big folds. So you absolutely do not want to be that guy. A good rule of thumb from a high stakes pro, which gave me some coaching, he would always tell me the worst hands you want to play that you think you cannot call with pre-flop, you guys should always put that in your three bet bluffing range. For example, an early position opens, you have ace 4 or ace 5 suited in the cutoff or button. You can sometimes flat there, but you should mainly be flatting like ace 10 suited, so those are perfect hands to turn into a bluff. Same situation if someone opens from early position and you have 8-9 suited and you're in maybe the hijack. Flatting there and having someone else come in behind you is very bad. Now you don't have position. But when you three bet 8-9 suited, you get to play the hand in position and you get to realize your equity. So you want to turn those hands into bluffs. Flatting there is not the optimal play. Same goes with 7-6 suited. Last example would be if the hijack opens and you have king jack off on the button. King queen off is always a clear call in this situation. What's the worst hand you want to play? Probably something like king jack off, and you want to put that in your three bet bluffing range. So this slide is very important, and if you guys want to pause while I'm reading and or go back and look at it. So these are the 5 reasons to be three betting. Reason number 1, you can win the pot without seeing a flop. Making instant money is always awesome without seeing a flop. Having your full equity realized, because even if you have pocket aces and someone has 9-10 suited, if you win pre-flop, you deny them their 23% equity of winning the hand. So just winning the pot pre-flop is awesome. From number 2, from an exploitive standpoint, if a villain opens too loose, you want to be isolating them. You want to win the money before another pro wins the money. And this is the case in some of the tougher 5-10 games I play and 10-20 games, where it's obvious that you want to isolate the recreational players and get the pot heads up. Once you don't isolate and get the pot heads up, you give someone else the chance and the opportunity to get the recreational players' money before you do. Number 3, villain folds too much to 3-bet. So this is similar to example number 1, but this one goes more in depth. Let's say we're playing 5-10 no limit. The villain opens to 30. The hero raises, that's us, raises the button to 90. If the villain does not defend 31% of the time and he overfolds, you make instant profit. So let's say even if he only defends 28% of the time, you are making profit, and that's how the casinos in Vegas win off of small margins. So if you see someone that's folding way too much to 3-bet, you should be hammering them till they adjust. And this does not take into consideration your post-flop play. You might have a huge edge post-flop as well. So not only can you crush them pre-flop because they overfold to your 3-bet and they do not defend 31% of the time, but you also get a chance to beat them post-flop. 4, you make yourself more difficult to play against. Some of the toughest players I have played against personally, they are 3-betting like crazy. They are extremely aggressive. They're playing their 3-betting range in position, so you're usually out of position, and they are very tough to play against. We've all played against those players. You want to mimic that player's playing style. You want to see in your game where players are playing very tough and mimic that into your playing style. And I think one of the toughest things for me as a pro and playing all these years is dealing with someone that has a high 3-bet frequency. You either have to open wider or you have to 4-bet lighter. So making those adjustments in game can be tough. So you want to be the person at the table that people fear playing against or know that it's going to be difficult. Also, recreational players, when you are battling them, showing them that sometimes you get caught with the bluff like 7-6 suited that you went 3 barrels, you're getting action pretty much for life. And they're going to want to play with you because they're like, hey, this guy gives action. So that's another positive. Last but not least, definitely, because this might be the number one point on our slide, from a GTO standpoint, game theory optimal, you will have the perfect 3-bet value bets to bluff ratio in your range. Villains will have to defend at the right frequency, like we decided, 31% if you're raising from 30 to 90. So you have to defend at the right frequency or they will be making massive mistakes. Also, when you construct a balanced range, it is the most optimal form of playing poker pre-flop. So this is the question that I get asked almost all the time, is my sizing. And once you read this slide, pause it, maybe take a photo of it, write it down. 3-betting becomes so simple. In position, you always want to 3-bet to the sizing of 2.75x or 3x. In our example, we use $30 to $90 in position. You want to use that always as your standard, but you deviate depending on the player. So let's say my standard is always to 3-bet to 90, but the player is very loose, and I know he's going to call any bet I put out there because depending on his hand, if he likes it, he's going to play. So in these situations, I will not be balanced, and I'll make it like 160, 5x, 4x, whatever you think this person's going to call and you want to play in position, you just make it that price. And you deviate from your 3x. Same goes for if the player is tight. If you think that he's just going to fold to a 2.5x raise because he's not going to want to call 3-bet in position, you can 3-bet small, and if he comes over the top, you can make a big fold knowing that he's never 4-betting light. As far as out of position goes, you want to go as your default 3.5 to 4x. So if someone makes it 30, you want to be going from the big blind and small blind to about $120. You want to de-incentivize that player from playing in position. And the deeper you go, especially out of position, is when you should be ramping up your 3-bets. For myself, a little trick that I do, let's say if it goes open and a call, I'll usually add that sizing into my 3-bet. So if there's a raise to 30 and a call of 30 and I'm in position, I'm usually going to make it around 110 to 120 and add 30 to maybe $20 of the bet size to every bet that I'm increasing from my 3-betting. So here's one of the first hands, and this is in the commentator's game. And Yusuf opens from under the gun, which is not really under the gun, it's really the hijack. And I know that Yusuf wants to play, and he's going to call my three bets, and he's opening very loose. So we hammer some of the points. I get to play in position. I get to play against a weaker range. I will take this hand down some of the time. So this is a perfect example from when you want to be three betting hijack versus cutoff. Our plan almost goes perfectly, but Ryan cold calls a three bet from out of position with 7-6 suited. And this was how the game was going. I was very loose and splashy. But in normal games, this is not really going to happen. So once again, you want to be taking hands like ace-5 suited and three betting, putting your villains in a tough spot. This is like one of the most perfect hands to be three betting. And here you see Yosef, he bets $5 and induces me to raise here. But for the most part, when Yosef peels with Jack 10 out of position, I'm going to have a huge favorite. Not only do I have the best hand, here I have him dominated in clubs. I'm going to realize my equity in position. I'm going to hit an ace sometimes and maybe just get one street of value. I'm going to make myself so difficult to play against. And I guarantee if you ask Yusuf, he's going to say, man, I don't like having JJ to my left because he was three betting me. I three bet him a few times during the session, mainly not with premiums, but with hands that I wanted to play against him in position and battle a little bit. We can stop it after the flop. All right, here's the next hand. And same opponent, Yosef, who's opening wide, and I know this already. Once again, I want to play in position with Yosef. He's a recreational player. I know he is not playing game theory optimal. And when someone is not playing game theory optimal, this is the player that I want to play against. Once again, my sizing, which is important. As you saw last slide, I went from 25 to 75. Here again, I stay consistent. Whether I have aces, whether I have ace-5, whether I have ace-jack, I want to play in position against Yusuf. Ramsey makes a very loose call, but the most important aspect of this video is that our sizing is correctly. And look at what we got Yusuf to call with. We got Yusuf a loose opener to call out of position with 3 deuce offsuit. Like we are just crushing with making three bets like this with ace jack off for value. When you understand your opponent, and I could have probably even have went bigger. I probably could have made it like 100 pre-flop to make the pot even bigger so when I win, if Yusuf's calling with 3 deuce off. So once again, guys, you want to have like little checkpoints in your mind. Okay, maybe our first point in out of the 5 will win pre-flop. Maybe against Yosef, we won't win pre-flop as much, but we definitely get to realize our equity. We get to play in position. We're probably going to have the best hand most of the time. Three betting is the correct play all the time here against someone who's going to give you action and who's playing very loose. Can you pause this real quick, Brian? Can they still hear me though? While we pause? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you unmute yourself. Yeah.
So here, this was in our slide as the number, what was it, number maybe 2 on our in our points here, where actually this hand is like a little out of the box, but this goes to when the high stakes pro told me, hey, you take the worst hand that you want to play, that you think you cannot call with profitably pre-flop, and you play it and you turn it into a 3-bet. So Weeze opens to 20, and here I have King 10 off. But Weeze is a recreational player. I really want to play him in position. I do not want to give Francisco or Weeze the chance to just flat, and now I have to play a 3 or 4-way pot. So the best thing you could do here is you get Weeze in position, play heads up, be ready to gamble. I'm sure when Weeze sees this, he's going to be like, okay, JJ does give me action. He's going to want to play as well. And this just comes down to playing in position. And King 10 off, it would probably be a pretty bad call in my opinion. You can probably call King 10 suited and King Queen here So the hands that you cannot profitably call, like we said earlier in our slide, you just put them into your 3-bet bluffing range.
Next one. Right. One more, and then we'll end it.
And there you see me and Weez actually go heads up in that pot. And you guys want to see the rest of the hands, you got to go watch the commentator's game. So it seems like in that video, I didn't really have any strong value hands. But here we're going to get to some value. I just kind of chopped from the shows where I was 3-betting. So as you can see, if you watch the show, I'm going to be very difficult to play against because I'm going to have some lighter 3-bets, and now I'm going to have some value of 3-bets. So here Josh raises it to 30 from the button. Wayne calls, and I have a slam dunk 3-bet here, a squeeze play. I know Josh is opening really wide. The only thing I'm thinking is, what should my sizing be? So if Josh raises it to 30 here, and Wayne calls 30, my default would be 120. So as you can see, I practice what I'm preaching, guys. So Josh opens to 90. I'm going to make it to 120 without Wayne. Wayne's in there. I'm out of position. I'm going to make his call into my 3-betting incremental value. So now it goes up from 120. Wayne calls. His 30 goes up. Now my 3-bet sizing is 150. So if there was 2 callers instead, let's say if instead seat number 4 opens and Josh called and Wayne called, then I would make it 180. So you just want to plug in the calls, the increment dollar-wise, and add it to your 3-bet sizing. And this will be part 1. We will finish part 2. It might be up in a couple of weeks from now. Stay tuned. If you really liked it, we're just going to keep going over more sizing and when to 3-bet. So if you guys love this video, check it out. It will be up very soon.